over, Hakkon! Your ass is mine! Yeah! No. No way.
All right, hero.
You have got to be kidding me! What the hell? You're gonna glitch now. You're really going to break now.
So what do we
This
talk about
is
then?
complete, utter bullshit!
Suppose you full of jousting. I'm a free marcher, remember? We invented jousting.
Hello everyone, welcome to PANAGAME. My name is Manu and today I will be reviewing the new DLC for Dragon Age Inquisition called Jaws of Hakkon. Well, our precious scout Harding calls it Hakkon.
I have news as well. We've encountered hostile Avar to the north. They call themselves the Jaws of Hakkon.
But I much prefer saying Hakkon, so I'm just gonna say that in my review.
I just can't.
Not to fault Harding, I really do like her. A lot. Alright, so let's get started. But before we dive into the DLC itself, we should talk about the pre-release fiasco. Take a look at this.
I thought we could catch.
This, my friends, is essentially the entirety of BioWare's promotion for Jaws of Hakkon. Let me remind you that Inquisition was Game of the Year in 2014. It is a AAA, massive success, and this is its very first single-player DLC. So how does one promote such a big step? With a tweet so underwhelming that a member of BioWare's staff had to clarify that they meant the DLC itself was releasing, and that the tweet wasn't promoting just the trailer. I can't blame people for thinking this was promoting a trailer, just look at it! Someone at BioWare really dropped the ball on this one. Also, lest I forget, my heart reaches out to my PlayStation comrades. This exclusivity deal that EA has with Microsoft is rather fishy in my opinion. And IGN just updated us that BioWare won't even reveal when it's coming out for PlayStation 3 and 4 because of the exclusivity deal. That, my friends, is sorry. But unfortunately, we should probably start getting used to it. This is the future. This is where gaming is heading. Ugh. Now that we have that painful ordeal out of the way, I'm sure everyone's dying just to see how awesome this $15 DLC is. Shall we? Oh. Now, before we get off on the wrong foot, I will say it now. I enjoyed Jaws of Hakkon. I really did. I had a lot of fun. But you know what else I had? $15 to throw away. If I was saving for a new game or something and I blew my money on this, I would be pretty miffed right now. So let's go over why that is. Number 1, the DLC is too empty. This is a pretty large point, so bear with me and I'll condense it as much as possible. By too empty, I mean in two ways. First, the new area is beautiful, but there's hardly anything in it other than scenery. A lot of fans of Inquisition still have nightmares of the lost hours to the sprawling deserts of the Hissing Wastes. And while the Frostback Basin, the new area, is nowhere near as bad as that, one can't help but be reminded of it. There is a lot of running around from point A to point B with little to keep you occupied, except way too many of these damn little spider things. Oh, when will they end? Die! Die! Small point. Yes, the area is beautiful, but is anyone else noticing a lack of unique textures? It reminds me of a Emerald Graves Storm Coast combination. But I digress. Yes, you can fast travel between camps, but with much of the DLC, I either found it to be almost as long as just running, or nowhere near where I needed to go. And I don't even need to talk about how useless a horse is in this area. Okay, so, point number 2. There isn't enough to do. Now let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. There is not that much new content here in terms of gameplay hours. Now I'm sure I'll get some flack for saying this, but I just cannot help but compare it to another $15 DLC released 2 years ago. You know, probably the best DLC ever made? Yes, the circumstances are different. And yes, they are different games. But we're talking about the same company here. Whether you like it or not, BioWare set the bar pretty damn high with Citadel. To fall so completely short of that, yet expect the same amount of money? Well, you're not making any friends over here, BioWare. There are hardly any new quests added. I've read some Reddit reviews that say this DLC is roughly 5 hours in length. I totaled all of my recorded footage and came up with less than 4 hours total. Now that's with me doing all of the added quests except 2. One to find a missing suicidal scout and the other the Avar impression quest. Now perhaps I just played faster than normal, but seriously? Less than 4 hours? That is completely unacceptable. No. More than that. It's a shameful display!
A shameful display!
I did like the lore we got on the Avar here. I've always thought they were an underused group in the Dragon Age setting. But their village in the DLC is actually pretty tiny. Now in size, it's about a red cliff, but it has far less to do in it. Just more running up cliffs and back down again to talk to different people. Number 2. The story is underwhelming. Now, I'm not expecting something that eclipses the main game's story. The strength of that is another argument altogether. However, I was expecting something better than what we got. Especially because the DLC actually does a pretty good job of ramping it up in its early stages.
After 800 years, we may be able to determine the final resting place of the last Inquisitor.
However, it's really not that good. I do like the large usage of humor and sarcasm. Ever since Dragon Age went voice protagonist, I've always thought that the sarcastic path fit the game best.
That's something.
But witty dialogue aside, we're left with a lackluster plot. Essentially, in searching for the resting place of the first Inquisitor, whose record ends 800 years ago, you come across an Avar splinter group that plans to bind one of their gods in dragon form to wage war on Orlais. Well then, pretty serious stuff. So how long does it take to destroy this dangerous plot? Less than 4 hours all in a day's work. The DLC really hurts itself here with being too short. The topic never gets enough airtime to feel really like a threat. The side quests are painfully boring. They only stand up on the lore we get from them. All in all, this DLC is a nice lore dump, but tries too hard to be serious. What is good? There is a lot of good stuff in Jaws of Hakkon that gives it redeeming qualities. First are the new materials, all the ones I found being tier 4. I'll get back to that in a second. Then there are the new weapon schematics. And finally, there are the new enemies. At least we didn't have an exact copy of the base game resold to us. I mean, look at these glowing weapons. Pretty cool. Also, as I've already mentioned, the lore added is very nice. I love delving deep into the history of a game's universe, so I really enjoyed seeing more Avar and learning more about the First Inquisition. And let's not forget the simplicity of finally having something new Dragon Age. That alone is worthy of noting. But there is a catch to these things, something I don't like and one that you might not agree is a bad thing. The DLC is leveled and designed for post-game play. The recommended level is 20, something most people will be around by the time they finish the main plot. Furthermore, as I stated before, all of the new materials I found were tier 4. In fact, the entire area is rich with tier 3 rare herbs and metals. It is an excellent area for harvesting, assuming you are going to play any after you're done, which is a stretch because you probably aren't playing this until it's the last thing you do. I am a firm believer that DLC should walk the fine line between endgame accessibility and encouraging new games. I think DLC should be something that makes you want to start a new game because it's well incorporated into the overall experience. Jaws of Hakkon discards this and firmly entrenches itself as endgame. In fact, because of the minimum level 20, you can't even really play it until the end when you level up enough to enjoy it and you're not having to slowly turtle your way through it. So what's the point of all of these new materials and weapons if you don't have any game left to use them? I do not like this system at all. Just a little side note. The storage chest and tinting station do not come with the DLC. They are a part of patch 5. I actually had a lot to say about this until I realized that I had updated from patch 4 right before playing it. So if anyone else waits a while before patching, now you know that these are patch 5 items and not part of the DLC. The rating. Alrighty then, I think I've gone over most of my thoughts on the DLC without delving too much into spoilers. So, let's just get to the core question. Is this worth paying $15 for right now? For those who can. Sorry, PlayStation buddies. I'm going to have to say no. No.
No!
There just isn't enough content to justify that price tag. I would wait a couple of months, if you have the patience, of course. The price should drop rather rapidly. I definitely think you should get the DLC, just later when it's cheaper. It's relatively fun, it has great lore, and it has some cool new materials and schematics, even if you don't really use them much. But BioWare shot themselves in the foot with Citadel, and fair or not, they're going to have to live with that. If you just have to have it, then go ahead, get it. It's not terrible, but if you can, wait a while for the price to go down. It's just not worth $15.
Nobody should